Good evening. Welcome to your flipped lesson. Today's lesson you're going to be multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions. So what I would like you to do first is take a moment and answer the quick review questions at the top of your notes. Once you have done that, unpause the video and check your answers. All right. Welcome back. Here are the answers. Take a moment, pause the video, check and see if you made any mistakes. If you're having a tough time with these fractions, you need to go back to the fraction videos tab on the website and watch a few of those fraction videos so you can really understand how to multiply and divide fractions. Okay, well, let's begin with our lesson. We're going to start with a couple word problems. Okay, the first word problem says, Maxwell collected cash donations for underprivileged children every October. This October, he collected $784. Last year, he collected 5/8 as much. How much did Maxwell collect last October? Well, 5/8 as much means he collected less than he did last year. And I know he collected $784. So what I really want to know is what is 5/8 of $784. So when I'm looking at that, way back at the beginning of the year, we learned that of means to multiply. So the problem I need to be solving is 5/8 times 784 over 1. Okay? So I could go about and multiply my numerator and my denominator, but I'm going to cross cancel. And we're going to use our calculator since we finally got those out today. And I want to see, well, I want to see if 8 can go into 784. So 784 divided by 8, and it does. And it goes in there 98 times. So I am going to say 8 goes into 8 once, 8 goes into here 98 times. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, 98 times 5, and I'm going to get $490. So as we suspected, he did make less money, and he made $490. Let's look at number 5. It says, how many cheerleading uniforms can be made with 7 3/4 yards of fabric if each uniform requires 2 7/8 yards? Well, I could look at this problem and I could say, okay, well, one cheerleading uniform is going to be 2 7/8. The second one is going to be 2 7/8. The third one is going to be 2 7/8. Or I can find out how many times 2 7/8 goes into 74 3/4. So really I want to know 74 3/4 divided by 2 7/8. Because that is what I'm interested in. How many times can I get 2 7/8 into 74 3/4? So go ahead, take a moment, pause the video, and solve that question. Okay, welcome back. Well, I'm going to pick us up back here. I changed these to improper fractions, and now I'm going to flip and multiply. Well, now let's just review some cross-canceling. I want to say 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. And go ahead and get your calculator out and ask yourself, well, does 23 go into 299? Well, 299 divided by 23 is indeed 13. So I'm going to take 23, goes into 23 one time. 23 goes into here 13 times. I am left with 13 times 2, which is 26 uniforms. Okay, moving on to multiplying algebraic fractions. Now you should recall this from our very last chapter that we did at the end of last marking period. It looks very similar. Okay? So now all I have to do is I have 2a divided by b times b squared all over d. Okay? Well, we know how to multiply fractions. We multiply the tops and we multiply the bottoms. So here I'm going to take the top. I'm going to get 2a times b squared. Well, I can't combine anything. I don't have any like variables, so I just get 2a b squared. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to multiply the bottom. Well, b times d is just b D. Now we're going to use the rules that we learned last marking period, and we're going to simplify. Well, there's no big numbers on the bottom, so my 2 is going to stay on the top. I have no a's to cancel, so my a will stay. I have 2 b's on top, b squared, and I have 1 b on bottom, so that means I have 1 b that still is on top, and then I still have my d left over. You look, there's no variables on both top and bottom, so you know you're done. All right, looking at example 7. Once again, we're going to look at this, multiplying the top and multiplying the bottom. There's another way that we can do this. We could actually cross-cancel with our variables. So I urge you, if you're ready to take that next step, why don't you try to do this one on your own by cross-canceling common factors. But we're going to do it by multiplying the tops and the bottoms. So when I multiply the top, I get 3p squared q squared all over q times r is just qr. Well, now I see I have q's on the top and q's on the bottom, so I need to keep simplifying. My 3, nothing to simplify with. P squared, no one to simplify with. I have 2 q's up top, 1 q on the bottom, which means I have 1 q left on top. And then on the bottom, I'm going to be left with my r. And now I know I don't have any variables on both top and bottom, so I'm done. Moving on to number 8. It looks a little bit scarier, but we follow the same procedure. We multiply the tops and we multiply the bottoms. Now, once again, if you're ready to take that next step and start cross-canceling things, go ahead and try that on your own while I work through this. So first I'm going to multiply my 5 and my 4, and I'm going to get 20. And then I have x squared and x, which gives me x to the third. And then I have a y to the fourth and y to the third, which gives me y to the seventh. So now I have to put that all over my denominator, which is 2 times 2, which is 4. X to the fifth and x to the third is x to the eighth, because remember we add our exponents when we're multiplying. And then y to the squared, I don't have anything to combine him with. Well, now I know I have numbers on top and bottom that I need to simplify. I have variables on the top and the bottom that are the same, so I need to keep going. Well, 20 divided by 4 is just simply 5, so 4 goes into 20 5 times, so that 5 lives on the top. And I have 3 x's on top and 8 x's on the bottom. So I have 5 left over on the bottom because 8 minus 3 is 5. Then I have 7 y's on top and 2 on the bottom, so that means I have 5 left over. And when you look at your answer, you have only x's on the bottom, only y's on the top, no repeating variables, so you know you're done. Okay, take a moment and pause the video and try the next on your own questions. All right, welcome back. I hope that went well, because now we're going to do dividing algebraic fractions, and if you remember anything about dividing fractions, it is the same as multiplying. We just have to do one step before we get there. So if I'm looking at this one, I can see I'm dividing. So remember what that means is that means you need to flip that fraction that you're dividing by. So I'm going to rewrite this problem before I start doing anything. 5x over 8y, and I'm going to change that to a multiplication sign, and then it's going to be 16y over 10. And to make things a little bit less confusing, I'm going to make that a dot, because remember we're in algebra now. Seeing x's as multiplication signs can get a little bit confusing. Okay, so next step, once again, if you're ready to start cross-canceling, you can start cross-canceling your y's and your x's if there is any. But let's just continue with our process of multiplying the top and multiplying the bottom. So I have 16 times 5 is 80. X times y is just xy. Okay, and then I have 8 times 10 is 80. And then I have y. So now I look and say, can I simplify anything? Why, yes, we can. 80 and 80, that's 1, so they cross out. I have a y on top and a y on bottom, so they cross out. So I'm just left with x on the top. And if you want, you could put x over 1, but that is the same thing as x. Okay, moving on to number 10. Once again, I have that division, so I need to flip my second fraction and multiply. So rewriting the question, I have 5ab all over 6 multiplied, which we're going to put our little dot, by 7 over 10b. I'm going to do this one by cross-canceling, just so you can see it. And then I want you to try it on your own when you're doing your own questions. So right now, remember, if we have the same factor on the top and the bottom, we can cross-cancel and get rid of them. So if I'm looking at the diagonals here, I have a b here and a b here, so I can get rid of it. Okay? And then I'm looking at my 5 and my 10. Well, there's a common factor there. 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 10 2 times. 7 and 6 don't cancel. There's nothing I can cancel with my a. So I'm going to go and circle everything I have left on the top and everything I have left on the bottom. So now I can multiply the factors that I have left. So 7 times a is 7a, and 6 times 2 is 12. And just do a quick check. There's no common factors between 7 and 12, and a is only on the top, so I can't simplify that anymore. Okay, going back now down to number 11. Once again, we have a division, so we need to flip. So rewriting it, I get m times n squared all over 4 multiplied by 8 over m squared n. Okay, well, let's try to go back and do the top and the bottom. If you would like to cross cancel, go ahead and do that, but then compare your answer with mine. Multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms. So I have 8 times mn squared is just 8mn squared. And then I have 4 times n squared m is just 4m squared n. Now, taking a look at it, I can simplify my numbers, and I have some variables that I can simplify. So 4 goes into 8 2 times. And I'm going to write that 2 down here on the bottom. And then I have m and m. Well, I have 2 on the bottom, 1 on top. Well, this one's going to go away, and I'm going to have 1 left on the bottom. And then my n's, I have 2 up here and 1 here. This one's going to go away and take 1 here. So my final answer is 2n over m. And now I know I'm done because my variables are opposite. They're not the same. And I have no more numbers that I can simplify that to with. Okay, take a moment. Try that on your own questions. Maybe try them both ways. Try cross-canceling on one of them. Try multiplying the tops and the bottom of the other. And then there is one other evaluating expressions question that I want you to do. Try your best on it. You're just plugging in those numbers for number 5. Just plugging in these numbers and then simplifying it just like you would if I were giving you a regular division problem. And then remember, write your question from the video and be prepared to share with the class when you get in. Have a good night. Good luck.